So, and before we jump into the material of the presentation, which will be mostly a live demo, so we're going to be working directly on the platform. I want to run through some housekeeping information. So, as I mentioned before, this is an advanced webinar. And if you are not familiar with the platform, a good way to familiarize yourself with the platform is to check other more basic webinars, which you can find by following this link, www.protocols.io/webinars. These webinars are organized by topic and by time zone. So you can choose the topic that you want to attend, the time zone, and sign up for free. We also, and this is the list of all upcoming webinars. We also have a series of pre-recorded tutorials that explain features of the platform. And you can always request a one-to-one demo. And in these demos, you will have the opportunity to talk interactively with one of our specialists about any question that you might have about the platform. As I mentioned before, this presentation is being recorded, and I will share the recording with all registered participants. And we will get to any questions that you might have at the end, but you can type them at any time in the Q&A window of Zoom or in the chat. So what you see now on the screen is the agenda for today's presentation. So we will begin with creating protocols using the editor, but specifically about how to bring into the platform existing protocols that you might already have created in your computer in a different format, like a PDF or a Word document. We will then talk about some components. I will have to say that the platform itself is very intuitive, and the best way to familiarize yourself with the platform is just create a protocol and play with the many features that it has. But I will show you some components that might be useful right away, and however, might take you a couple of months to discover on your own. Then we will talk about how to bring into a protocol images or videos. We will move on to the file manager and describe the difference between creating a fork and creating a copy, and how to create collections, and finally about publishing and sharing protocols. So let's begin then with how to bring into the platform existing protocols. And to do that, I'm going to minimize my presentation. And I'm going to open my hard drive. So this is my file manager in protocols.io, just to familiarize ourselves, to orient ourselves. To the left here, you see all the workspace to which I belong. We're going to be working on this, my personal workspace. This is the file manager for that workspace with some folders, and I have created a folder for the demonstration today. Now, I'm going to open my hard drive, which has some protocols that I have created previously using either a Word, Microsoft Word, or PDF. This is a text file, and this is Pages from Apple. I'm just going to open one of the protocols so you have a look at it. So this is the protocol. It has authors, it has an abstract, some notes, and then the steps of the protocol. So what happens if you have created any of these protocols yourself? So to create protocols in the platform, you have to go to the editor. The way to get to the editor is I click the new button, and then I select a new protocol. I select what folder I'm going to be saving that protocol, and then I continue, and that takes me to the editor. And the way to create protocols is by typing steps. But if I want to bring into the platform existing protocols, the easiest way to do that is just to take those protocols and import them as they are into the file manager. So I can just take them here and drag them to my folder, or I can go to New and Upload Files, and then search that file in my computer, right? So I can browse, or I can just take them and drop them here. And the files are being copied into my folder. So, oh, they're here, sorry. I copied them outside. So I can take this here, and I can move them into my folder, right? So I have now imported the documents. And this helps me centralizing all my protocols into a single protocol center platform like protocols.io. And I can also take these protocols and share them with anybody I want to share by typing their email address here, and they will receive a notification that a document is being shared with them. Now, however, because these are not protocols, these are documents in their original format, I cannot publish any of these protocols. A second way to create a publishable protocol, which is very easy to do, is to attach any of these protocols into an empty protocol. So again, I'm going to open this protocol that I previously created, and I didn't do anything with it. So this is the protocol. This is an empty protocol. Now, because it is a protocol, I can add a title to this protocol. So I can call it Demo 1, August 14, 2023. I can also add an abstract. And adding a title and an abstract to the protocol would make it more discoverable. Not only for me, but also from, if I eventually publish it, it will make it more discoverable for external users. So I added a title, I added an abstract, and in the description tab, I can scroll all the way down and add an attachment. So I can select the protocol that I want to attach. In this case, it's a PDF. And everything in the platform is saved automatically. So I don't have to click a save button. Now, as you might remember, I created this step, but this step is empty. So I can delete the step. And now if I go to the viewer, this is what you would see. This is my protocol. It has a title, it has an abstract, and it has the protocol attached as a PDF. Now, because this is a protocol, I can publish it. So I can publish this protocol, but I also can share it the way that I showed you before. And I will explain more about sharing at the end of my presentation. So now I have created a publishable protocol, which is entitled Demo 1, August 14, 2023. This is very easy. However, again, even though I can publish this protocol, it doesn't exploit the full utility and capabilities of the platform because it doesn't have the steps. So it is hard to fork, it is hard to version, and it's not dynamic or interactive. So I'm going to teach you now how to create these dynamic and interactive protocols out of an existing protocol. And that works for any text file, but it doesn't work for PDFs. So again, I'm going to open my hard drive. I'm going to take the protocol that I want to import. In this case, it's going to be test protocol B. And this is the protocol. Again, as you can see, it has the authors, it has an abstract, and it has several steps that are organized into sections. So there is section 1 with 6 steps. There is section 2 with 2 steps, and so on. So I'm going to create a new protocol. And I'm going to call it demo 2, August 14, 2023. And again, I can add an abstract, which can actually be the abstract of my protocol. So I just copy it and pasted it here. And now I can return to the steps. And I don't know if it's too small for you to see, but it says here, if you have an existing protocol, you can insert steps from a text file. So if I click that function, I can copy the first batch of steps that I want to import. I paste them here. In this case, each number is a step. So I mark this, each number is a step. I preview, and now the steps in my text file have been transformed into steps in my protocol. And you can see that here. These steps belong to section 1. And then I can add a second section, take the title of the second section, paste it here, and insert the second batch of steps. I can remove this empty step. And now I have a protocol that has 2 sections and 8 steps. I can go to view. And then again, I see my title, I see the abstract, and I see the 2 sections. Now, because this is now a protocol with steps, it is an interactive document. So anybody can come and make comments. To a specific step. It can also be copied and forked. And I can run the step directly from my computer or tablet. So I could print it to have a hard copy of my protocol at my bench while I'm running my experiments. To do that, I can export directly to the printer, or I can make a PDF and send it to my computer. But I can also run the protocol directly from my computer or tablet. And to do that, I hit the run button. And then as I make progress in my experiment, I can mark each step as done. And I can see the progress of my experiment. I can add notes to my protocol as I run it. So let's say that I noticed something unusual or I made a mistake in my experiment. I can add a note. Post it. And then at the end, I can save the record of my experiment as an independent file. Which I can see in my file manager. So this is the run record of my experiment. So I showed you 3 ways in which you can bring protocols into the platform, just dragging them, attach them to an empty protocol, or importing their steps from a text file. Now that we have done that, let's run over how to use the different components of the platform. So I'm going to open demo 2. So this is my table of components, and I can minimize it, and I can reopen it, and I can change the collection of components. So I can move from generic components to computational or to biology, or I can show all components. And some of these components are really useful, particularly when running your protocol in the computer. So for example, there are 15 mLs here, which I can transform to an amount component, right? And there is a time here, which I can transform to a duration component, and so on. Now, this is important because when I run my protocol, let's go to the viewer. This is how the components would look like. And if I decide to run my protocol, first of all, I can scale my protocol. Let's say that my protocol is to make a buffer, but I don't want to make 1x, I want to make 2x of the buffer. I can scale all my amounts automatically by selecting here these 3 dots, scale my protocol, and I'm going to scale by a factor of 2. And then all my amounts have been multiplied by 2. So I'm reducing the chances of me making mistakes because this is all automatically done. As I run my protocol, the duration component actually becomes a timer. And I can click the start button, and the timer will start running down. And when it finishes, the computer or cell phone will alert me that the time is over. And I can create different timers for different steps. So this is some of the utility of the different components. So I'm going back to the editor. It is also easy to insert tables. So I can create a table myself by selecting this. So this is a table. Let's say that this step has a table. And I can create a table. I can call this is a table for a buffer. And then I can call this reagent A, reagent B, reagent B, reagent C, and I can type the different volumes here. And the table accepts formulas. So I can type a formula here, which is going to be B2 times 5. B2 why is it not working? Times 5. Oh, B2 I'm sorry about that, but I will need to talk to the engineers, but I apologize. I'm going to erase this table. But you can also import a table from Excel. So this is a table that I would like to import. So I can copy the content of the table, create an empty table, and paste the table that I just created. So I have imported my table for Excel, but you will notice here that my table actually contains a formula. But the formula wasn't imported, just the value. If I want to import the formula, what I have to do in Excel is select View, Show Formulas. And now if I copy this table that shows the formula, and I paste it here, oh, there is a problem with the formulas now. That should import the formulas. But the engineers will need to fix this. And I apologize again. Another component that I would like to show you is what we call the smart component. So the smart component is this component. And this is an actionable component that is also useful when running the protocol in a computer. So the smart component looks like a table. So let's say that I am looking for cell death using a microscope and staining. So I want to count in my experiment how many cells I see in the field, and of those cells, how many are dead. So I can create a row that is called total number of cells, mark it as required, and then I can say dead cells also as required, and I can add the component. Now, if I run my experiment, when I reach the step that has the smart component, I cannot tick it off as done unless I enter the values of that specific experiment. So let's say that I counted 500 cells, of which 250 were dead. Now I can mark it as done, and those values will be saved in my run when I hit the Save Run button. Let me go back to the editor. Now let's talk about how to insert images and videos. So it is, again, very intuitive. I can select this button, Insert Images or Videos. Then I can go to the image that I want to insert. And voila, the image has been inserted into my step. If I go to the viewer, the table, and there is the image here. I can also embed videos that were previously uploaded to YouTube. So to do that, I go to the editor. I can insert a video here. The same thing, I can search for my video in my hard drive, but if I previously uploaded the video to YouTube, I can insert embed media. So I go to embed media. Let's say that this is the video that I want to insert. So to do that, I go to Share. I select Embed. It's going to give me a code, which I can copy. I go back to the editor. I paste the code for embedding that video. I save it. And then the video is now embedded in my protocol. So I have an image. I have a video. And it's not only a link, I can actually play the video in my protocol from the editor or from the viewer. So if I view my protocol, again, there is a table, there are the components here, the smart step, the image, and the video, which I can play. So I have taught you so far how to bring protocols into the platform, how to use some of the components. And before I move into the file manager, I would like to show you one last component, which is the step case. So let's say that your protocol has a main branch, but then it bifurcates depending on your sample. So if you're working with 2 bacterial strains or with 2 tissues or 2 different equipments, you can bifurcate your protocol. And to do that, you go, instead of adding a new step, you add a new step case. So you can call the case title, it's a bacterial strain 1. And then if you use bacterial strain 1, do this. You save it, and then you can add a different bifurcation if you use bacterial strain 2. So I follow my protocol, and when I reach this step, I have 2 options. Either I follow whatever bacterial strain 1 needs or whatever bacterial strain 2 needs. And then I can keep adding steps to each of the branches. If the steps are different for each of the branches, and so on. And if I go to the viewer, I can move between bacterial strain 1 and bacterial strain 2, and each of those branches will have their own specific steps. So now let's move to the file manager, and we will talk about the difference between copying and forking and making a version. So once you publish a protocol and it receives a DOI, the protocol is not editable any longer. So if you want to make a correction, or if you want to make a clarification to that protocol, you would have to create a new version. And only the authors of the protocol can create a new version. And to do that, it's very easy. You select the protocol that you want to version. In this case, the protocols are not published, so these are still editable. Still, I can create a new version of this protocol, and I just select it, and I mark a new version of the protocol. But this is very useful for published protocols, which cannot be edited anymore. I can also create a copy of my own protocols. And by creating a copy, I will be transferring to the new copy all the information that the protocol contains, that the original protocol contains, but the 2 copies are independent from each other. You cannot copy public protocols. You can only copy your own protocols. And we recommend using copying when you want to create protocols that are independent from each other. And the best way to do that, let's say that you're putting together a series of protocols for a single manuscript. And these protocols share the same authors and share the same funding, but the content of the protocols is different from each other. So you can create a single template with all the metadata, authors, funding, and create multiple copies that then you can tailor individually. And these protocols are not related to one another in content. Now, when you create a fork of a protocol, the line on credit remains, and the protocols will be linked. Let's say that you have an original protocol that was developed for working in mice, and now you want to change the protocol to optimize it for working in rats. The best way to do that is to create a fork. So I have my protocol here. I can create a fork. And this is the protocol that I forked from another one that I created. This is an editable protocol, so I can make the changes to optimize it to these slightly different conditions, and the line of credit remained, meaning that there is a label in the new protocol that says that this protocol was forked from a different protocol. And I can go to the original protocol by following this link. You can only version and copy your own protocols, but you can fork any public protocol. So if I go to the web page, if I go to the landing page or to my file manager, and I search for any topic of interest, I will see all the public protocols that have PCR as a keyword. I can select any of these protocols, and I can create my own fork. Any public protocol is forkable, and it's thus a template for you to optimize it for your own condition. And if I go to my file manager, I've seen that I have created two forks in this case. This fork is a fork of my own private protocol, and it's labeled as a fork. And this fork is a fork from a public protocol, and it's also labeled as a fork. If I open this protocol, again, it will contain the flag that this protocol, which I am optimizing for my own conditions, have been created, has been forked by somebody else. So the line of credit is remain. And if I eventually publish this, my own version of this protocol, this flag that says that has been forked from a different protocol will be published together with my protocol. So the line of credit remains. I will now also show you how to create collections of protocols. Collections are good when you have put together a series of protocols that, for example, belong to a single paper. So I'm going to go to the file manager. Now, instead of creating a protocol, I'm going to create a collection of protocols, of existing protocols. So I can go here to demo, make a new collection, select the folder in which I'm going to save that collection, and start searching for the protocols that I want to include in that collection. And this can be public protocols that has been published by anybody or my own protocol. So I'm going to search in my files for protocols, for the protocol that we just created. So I'm going to select demo 1. I'm going to select demo 2. And I'm going to select the demo, which is a fork. So I've put 3 protocols in this collection. I can view my collection of protocols that contains these protocols. I can open any of these protocols. But also, this collection is publishable as a single document and will receive an independent DOI. So I can publish my protocols independently, and then I can put them together in a collection, republish them as a collection, and receive a DOI for the whole collection. And just, let's say, all these protocols belong to a single publication. I can publish them as a collection, get a single DOI, and cite this DOI in my paper. Right, so I can publish it. And the last topic that I want to cover before we open the floor for questions is about sharing. The most generous way of sharing a protocol is to make it fully public. Everything that is published in protocols.io is open access, meaning that anyone with an internet connection can come, search for your protocol, read it, and use it. It's very easy to publish a protocol or a collection. I can take my protocol, select publish, and it's a 6-step workflow for me to provide some metadata to make the protocol public, including authors and funders. Once the protocol is published, it will receive a citable DOI and will stop being editable. So published protocols are not editable. If you want to edit that protocol, you will have to create a new version. And the versions of the protocols are linked to one another. Let me show you how they look like if you are not familiar with that. In this bounce PCR protocol, which is a fork, I can go to the original protocol, which is a public protocol created and published by somebody else. And this protocol has 3 versions. So I can navigate between the different versions of this specific protocol. But I can also share my protocols more privately. And to do that, I select the protocol, I select share, and I can add users to my protocol. Sorry, I can here by typing an email address. I can share this specific protocol with this collaborator, and I can control what this collaborator can do with this protocol. I can make my collaborator a viewer, an editor and publisher, or a co-administrator of my document. I can also get a private link that I could potentially share with reviewers. So if I go here, I can get a reviewer link. I can copy the link, and I can share this link in my submission with the reviewers. Now, this link is view only. So the editors will view the protocol, but they won't have the ability to make any changes. And I think that with that, I'm covering the topics that I wanted to share with you today. So if there are any questions at this point, I will be happy to take them. And I see that there is already one in the chat. The question is whether it is possible to import protocols directly from Confluence. And I think that the answer is no. You can import protocols from many cloud-based drives, including Dropbox, Google Drive, Box, OneDrive, or the Open Science frameworks, but not Confluence. But if you can move from Confluence to your hard drive, you can search for protocols in your computer. Did I answer your question, Joanna? And if not, I will give it another go. Oh, she left. Any other questions? I'm going to stop the recording now in case somebody wants to ask a question of the record.